What is up, everybody? Steve here. I hope you are doing well. Today I want to talk briefly about an article from REDFIN, but toward the end of the article I want to talk more about what this real estate agent is saying, and I want to get your feedback on it because I think that there's really two different camps in terms of people's thought process as well as predictions for the real estate market. So let's dive in real quick. Pending sales dropped to the lowest level since at least 2015. Now real quick, the real estate market historically moves very slowly, and I can say in my experience, things are progressing pretty fast. I mean, depending on where you're at in the country, real estate sales have really just dropped off and almost overnight, and that's largely due to the Fed increasing rates and mortgage rates following. Pending U.S. home sales dropped 32% year over year to their lowest level since at least 2015 during the 4 weeks ending January 1st. The biggest decline were in Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Austin, which each saw pending sales plummet more than 50%. Now, I want to touch on this. I did another video talking about something along the lines of how a hot market can really hurt you. And I believe that a lot of the hot markets, a lot of markets that people were just in a frenzy to buy in because there's a lot of people moving into these areas and limited demand. Anytime I hear a hot market, I have reservations because usually any kind of hot market, in turn, as time progresses, those are the markets that drop off first. They drop off fast. And that's where a lot of homeowners lose a lot of equity. And if they have to sell because of unforeseen circumstances like a death, divorce, job relocation, job loss, they could be in an upside down position where they have negative equity. And then they're going to be in a position of, they're going to have to rent the property out, or if they can't do that, or if they're delinquent on payments for whatever reason, they could be looking at a short sale or a foreclosure. This real estate agent, now this is what I want to talk about, want to get your opinion on as well. Open conversation in the comments down below if you don't mind. Two categories of buyers are starting their search right now. First timers hoping prices and competition are more manageable than they have been over the last few years, and returning buyers who took a break after losing out on multiple homes during the pandemic bidding war frenzy, says Seattle REDFIN agent Sashana Godwin. Now, I agree to a certain extent. I think that these are people that, they got sick and tired of, getting outbid and everything else. So they decided to go ahead and rent for another 6 months, rent for another year, lock in another lease. So I think that there is this category of buyer that are coming to market. And if that is you, I would caution you, because I believe throughout the country, we're going to see more and more price reductions, values of prices go down. So the last thing you want to do is get into a property and in turn you become into a negative equity position. And real quick, I want to jump over to US Bank talking about how much people have been putting down in terms of down payment. It goes on to say the median down payment for first-time home buyers in 2021 was just 6%, according to the National Association of Realtors. Now, first-time home buyers, a lot of them can take advantage of VA or FHA. FHA historically will allow 3.5% down, and that's not including any closing costs that you would have as well. But that is a very, very low amount down. So if and I said this in other videos, let's say you buy a house at $300,000, you put, say, 6% down. If you had to sell that property and you got a buyer lined up at $300,000, in turn, if you listed it with a real estate agent, say paid, 4, 5, 6% commission plus closing costs, you have, title related, you might have attorney related, you might have doc stamps or state taxes on that. You're in turn going to be in a negative equity position, and you would actually have to cut a check at closing to get out of that property. So I encourage you guys, if you guys are in the market, to buy right now. If you're one of these people who dropped off, sick and tired of the frenzy, and you're coming back to market, be very cautious. And if you're a first-time home buyer, then also you want to be very cautious as well. And also, don't be afraid to make offers, and whatever you do, do not get emotionally tied to the property. You know, there's always another property out there, I promise. A lot of people get so emotionally tied to one property. They love it. They can see their family, their kids being raised in these properties. And unfortunately, that emotion can really work against you. Now, this is where I want to get you guys and ask you what your thought process are. This same real estate agent says, I expect new listings to remain scarce as homeowners hold on to low interest rates while the pool of determined buyers circle the few homes that are available. Yes, right now inventory is very low. And yes, obviously over the last few years, people locked into incredible low interest mortgage rates, whether it's amortized over 15 years or over 30 years. And now you have that camp. You have one camp that's saying, look, people locked into these low mortgage rates. There's no way that they're possibly going to list their property. It's not going to happen. Their rates are too good and they're going to hold on to their properties. And then you have another camp that's saying, and this is, I'm in between both camps. And the other camp is saying, look, it doesn't matter what their interest rates are. If somebody falls on hard times, they're going to have to sell their property. And despite the interest rate, it doesn't matter. If somebody can't, if somebody has a 0% mortgage interest rate, but they can't afford that principal payment every single month, they can't afford it. Doesn't matter if it's 0% or if it's 20%. If somebody loses a job, or say the husband lost his job, the wife still has her job, so there's a lack of or a reduction of an income to the house, or a death in the family, or people get divorced. There's so many situations like that in my experience as a real estate broker since 2006, realtor since 2003. You run into all these circumstances where families have to sell properties. Even me personally, when my brother passed away, we had some land up in North Florida. We got to a point where, there's multiple owners of the property and we had to part ways. We had to split things up and sell. So that is always going to happen. There's always going to be situations where you have people that have to sell, that have to get out of properties, that have to split up partnerships or whatever the case is. And yes, there is going to be a certain amount of people that will never, ever sell their property because they're locked in a 2.5% interest rate. And fantastic. And for those people, maybe you're one of them. In some situations, it's ideal to hang on to that property. The asset is actually your debt position on that property. So if that property, you can afford to go and buy another house, you have the down payment or whatever, and you can put that property into a rental program and cash flow it, then yeah, it may make sense to never ever sell that property. So I want to know from you guys, what camp are you guys in? Are you kind of down the middle? Do you think there's no inventory is going to come to market because all these people are locked into low interest rates? Or do you think that despite low interest rates, we're going to see a lot more people sell properties because of the recession, because of job loss and everything else, which will add to the inventory? I want to know your thoughts. And as always, I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks for being here.